out of whack.
And I'm sorry for the short thing going on tonight for me.
No problem. I mean, it is what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do either of you, since Brendan's dropped off briefly, want to give a recap?
All right. Sorry. Oh yeah. Hey.
Yeah. So you put it best, but I can recap your recap. So we entered the I forgot the city name.
Watchtower.
We entered Watchtower, which had a strange city layout that isn't common for other cities that we've seen, and we were looking for. Oh man, I'm really.
Samus Holbein.
Samus Holbein. So the first stop we did was to the tea shop to see if we could gather information and try the tea. Then we proceeded to the port because that's where we heard Samus Holbein would be. He wasn't there. We almost got the city guard. We did get the city guard caught on us, but we nearly missed it, thanks to Brendan's love for elf ears. And then we were on our way to the village of Alkai Tor, and there seemed to be smoke rising from houses as we were coming closer. And we found out that there were people that have gone missing, and the houses that were on fire were actually burned by the villagers as a precautionary measure to dispel any bad mojo that those people may have caused. And the party got jumped on by a big sheepdog, and that's where my memory. I have to look at the rest of it, but that's mostly what I remember.
Well, we also we came upon some information about the hotel owner or barkeep or someone that had lost his 3 children. I want to say.
Samus Holbein. Is that him?
That's
the guy we're looking for.
Haverford bartender.
Yeah. And he was kind of crazy, and he kept seeing that there were people that weren't there. And Lusharosi was able to bring some sense into him until what's Brendan's character's name again?
Helwyr.
Helwyr decided to headbutt him into unconsciousness.
As Helwyr often does.
Yeah. Just headbutt.
And and he believes that the dwarf that was off doing things with Holbein, the girl dwarf, I believe, was responsible for his children's deaths. So he was going to go out and seek some vengeance until Lusharosi convinced him to allow us to handle it and bring her to justice.
So to fill in a few details, first person you met with the sheepdog was the shepherdess. She then took you over to meet the falconer, who was a little more familiar with Holbein than she was rather. The falconer seemed to think that it's just ancient spirits of their ancestors that have been carrying people off. And he seemed to think that had something to do with why the spirits were only taking half-elves and elves and not the humans at all. The few humans that have been caught up in whatever these disappearances are, they've basically just been found dead. When you got down on the way to the inn, you met 2 people who were burying their 2 children and had lost a third. And Lusharosi stayed to help perform rites over the graves. He learned that the mother had seen a furred creature she believes to be a werewolf in the area, and she saw it in the vicinity of her 2 dead children, so it's pretty clear it killed them. Searching around, he did find a bit of white fur, and she did describe it as an albino werewolf, and he saw that it had run off towards the east, towards the river. And then he joined you at the inn.
Yes.
Haverford's theory is that the dwarf woman is responsible for all the disappearances. He told you, however, that Holbein's best contact here in the city, the one he spent the most time with, was a dairy farmer named Plumplavoons, whose dairy you saw when you were going to the inn. You passed it on the way to get to the inn.
And that may be the greatest name of all time.
Yeah, Clump of Boons is great.
You wake up, you go back to the inn. He turns off the lights and closes up shop because it's late, and shows you all to your rooms upstairs. There seem to be a number of rooms, so there's plenty for each of you to get one of your own.
All right. Is there a room with a couch?
Sure, you can find a room with a couch.
So Tehol will take a room and he'll sleep on the couch.
What are do the rest of you want to do anything or cut to morning?
Yeah.
Well, given that, wait, I'm hearing you.
I'm not.
Yeah, it sounds like you're. Uh-oh. I hear an echo.
Is it me?
Hello? Hello?
I
Yeah,
can,
we can hear you.
I don't hear it anymore.
All right.
Given that, well, how much does Lusharosi know about werewolves?
you could make either Arcana or History check. You'd make both even. They'll tell you different things.
Okay. Let's bring up that character sheet. How do I access this again?
Yeah, I think Helwyr would probably want to find a way to make a like a nature check or something to find out where they would be.
Where what?
I can't open up my character sheet.
Did you double click on it?
Mm-hmm.
And it just nothing popped up?
Because my bio, I can't alter it though or go anywhere else.
If you look at the top, there should be 3 tabs.
There's not.
I don't know why that would be. I opened your character sheet.
I think I know what happened. Let's see.
Yeah, I only see a bio and info on his too.
Right, and that's because I haven't given you all. Let me just see. You have like 2 accounts.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to go in the other one.
Although I only see one of them to give permission. Oh no, there's 2 marked Lusharosi for some reason, probably because of the 2 accounts. So that should fix it.
I'm sorry, guys. I always have the technical issues.
You should be able to open it from either account now.
Okay.
So we should probably pick an account
Yay!
because there may be other things that I'll have to show with you, and I'll never remember to give 2 permissions.
Don't worry about it. I know which one I got access to this. All right. So you want Arcana and then History.
Nature's probably better than History, but History's fine.
And then Nature.
So from Arcana, you don't know much about their history or specifics of how they live, but you know that they are almost always evil unless they've been acted on by some force that changes their personality, some magical force. They are always evil. They're born evil. It's part of the curse that they are evil, and that the curse itself is arcane in nature. It wasn't around back into the distant past. It's probably about 2,000 years ago. Somehow it was created. and it's just spread around, and it's been virtually impossible to eradicate.
Okay. So I wouldn't necessarily know that they come out at night or full moon or anything like that.
You would know that much.
Okay.
I view that as sort of common werewolf lore.
Okay. So then, given that, Lusharosi will probably actually remain outside the inn for a little bit, just kind of watching the night to see if anything should arise.
As Tehol is resting on his what I imagine to be a bare linen couch with not much padding, he did hear the tidings of. Well, let me ask: was the werewolf information shared with the party?
Yes, I believe it got shared when Lusharosi arrived.
All right, so
Yeah.
laying down and the world slowing down. Can I make can I make some checks to try to pick my brain as to what I might know?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So, I'm particularly I'm interested to see if I remember knowing anything about like werewolves in this area.
Okay, that would be more history.
Okay.
You do know something about the werewolves in this area, but what you mostly know is that this isn't really the hotbed of werewolfism, that they were here, but there was also a great purge about 250, 300 years before. And so now you tend to see werewolves much more often either in mountainous areas or in places further to the east. You would also know there is a place called the Coven Lands to the north, and there's recently been outbreaks of lycanthropy there. But while they certainly must exist somewhere nearby, they'd be pretty rare.
Gotcha. Now, do I know of any other like white furred creatures that might fit the bill that could be around this area that is like a more likely occurrence, like wolves or?
Well, give me a nature check. There's a couple candidates, all of which would be a little bit rare too, like as rare as werewolves being in the area. One, like there would be winter wolves. There could be albino wolves, as rare as they are. The woman did say she saw like a man-like shape standing on two legs. With an 18, you would know, like in the Underdark, there's a creature called a quaggoth. They're white furred and they're not really ape-like, but maybe if it was dark.
Which I'm kind of assuming it was, but I don't remember if that's a correct assumption.
Yeah, it was dark.
No. Okay.
How late is Lusharosi going to stand outside? Like, assume it was about 9 p.m. when the bar was closing up.
I think I'd probably go until about midnight, and then I'd reassess.
Okay, so midnight comes, and you haven't seen anything yet, but give me a perception check.
All right. Will this be at disadvantage because of the darkness and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so midnight comes and you haven't noticed anything. No, you've been listening especially for things like howls and growls and nothing like that. You do hear sort of like a faint moan coming from the southwest, but it sounds like it's pretty far off. And it doesn't sound like a wolf. It sounds almost like a whistle,
Probably just the wind. All right. At that point, I imagine Lusharosi will be pretty exhausted, and so he'll turn into the humblest accommodations that the innkeeper has.
Okay. He had a room set aside for you. They're all pretty similar, but you take the smaller of the rooms.
I guess Helwyr would wonder where if there were werewolves around here, where would they go? So we know that they go to the mountains, but like, what would their home be like? Would it be a cave, or would it just be under a tree, or?
Well, if there are werewolves, they probably during the day would have houses like anybody else. I mean, most werewolves they could live in the town, for given how most werewolves live. Most of them have been driven into the mountains, but they have they still hide out in communities for the most part. If they're living really wild lives, they could be in essentially anywhere in a forest or cave system.
Yeah.
Given Lusharosi's Arcana check and the sort of evil of the curse, does it that evilness, that sort of propensity towards whatever only occur when they transform, or does it take over their entire mind even beyond the transformation?
Normally, it will eventually consume the person. It's a very subtle effect at first. The people generally still try to protect themselves at first, but they, may be desperate to find a cure initially. And then over time, it just sort of absorbs their personality and they begin to enjoy being that way.
Okay. All right. So as Lusharosi gets ready for bed, he very carefully and ceremoniously takes off his armor and everything, because who sleeps in armor?
Dead people.
Or people who want to live. So the night passes uneventfully. You wake up in the morning, you can hear there's some commotion downstairs, sounds of people talking and chairs moving about.
Tehol puts on his knickers and wakes up Lusharosi. As well as Helwyr.
So an old man
Guys.
in nothing but his underwear comes to your door.
So
there's a commotion on. Let's get up. It's time to go.
So given that Tehol is probably seeing Lusharosi without his hood and everything, he's not afraid to open the door, and his groggy eyes show the tiredness in them, and his exhaustion is like, what are you
Hello?
speaking of, old man?
Don't you hear the chairs, the shuffling, the voices? We must go. You look great, by the way. Did you sleep well?
This is an inn. It's expected that there would be voices and mutterings and so forth, given that it's about breakfast time.
Well, I'm going to get breakfast, and if you're too late, then there'll be none left for you. And then he knocks on Helwyr, like, breakfast time! And then he just goes downstairs.
Yeah, Helwyr's door would be wide open because he doesn't believe in doors.
Oh, okay. So then he just knocks on the air.
Okay.
Does he go, knock, knock, knock?
I didn't think of that, but, that's what Tehol would do.
Yeah.
Knock, knock, knock. Helwyr, breakfast. And then Tehol just goes down the stairs.
Yeah, you see like Helwyr's legs are hanging out over the bed, and he sits up like the Undertaker and looks at you with like a deathly stare. But he gets up and starts moving towards the door.
Were you sleeping in your armor too?
Yeah, I think I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lusharosi is wearing robes and a hood, going down to prepare for breakfast because it's bad manners to dine in armor.
I'll just note that Tehol did not put on anything other than his knickers.
So Tehol manages to go downstairs before anybody else, as the rest of you are getting ready and getting out of bed. So you all hear a shriek from some female voice as this old man comes downstairs in his underwear. I assume it's loose, ill-fitting underwear.
Yeah. I'm thinking like kind of like kind of like old school knickers, like kind of the white longer, not whitey tighties, but like the longer baggier kind of under things.
Got it.
So it's
there's about half a dozen people down there. There's a human woman who is standing at the front of a large group. Haverford is there. There are several elves present, one of whom is also shirtless, but he seems to be wearing regular pants, not just his knickers. But he seems to be shirtless, somewhat muscular for an elf standing in the back. Two of the elves are somewhat older, at least for elves. They appear to be somewhat older, sitting at tables looking fairly sullen. Haverford is there seated in a chair. He's not wandering around providing anyone with food. They do seem to have drinks in front of them, though. And then this older human woman, I shouldn't say older, middle-aged human woman is standing at the front, seemingly waiting for something. She's the one who shrieks when she sees you come down in your underwear.
Good morning, darling. What a fine day we're having.
I would ask why you have not dressed, but I suppose your ways don't need to be in line with the customs of we local people. Feel free to come down. We'd like to discuss some things with you and your group. Are the rest of your people coming?
Yes, they'll be here shortly. They said something about getting ready. Do you have?
So within only a minute or so of that happening, Lusharosi makes his way downstairs, wearing a somewhat religious type of robes, as well as his hood to maintain the cover of his face as much as possible.
And as you come down, you see Moonshadow the Falconer comes in through the door. He's also got his hood up. It appears as though it's snowing lightly outside. So has Helwyr come down?
Yeah. He just stomps down the stairs.
The middle-aged woman says, "My name is Siobhan Drummond. Because I am still here, leader of the town militia. We were hoping that you could help us with our problem, with the disappearance of our people, and in particular that you could help us do something about Gruzza."
Gruzza is the dwarf lady, right?
Dwarf, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
We don't have any evidence that she's directly involved, but she's the common denominator. It's when she moved into town that people started disappearing. And once Master Holbein arrived, he brought with him the belief that she was a murderer, even before he got here, as I understand it.
Well, as I have already mentioned to this good man Haverford, we would not support this town without seeking some kind of justice for his children and those others that may have been affected. So I would see no reason not to accompany you to deal with this. What's the name again, dwarf?
Gruzza.
Gruzza.
It seems preemptive to.
Of course, I will not assume that Gruzza is guilty, but rather will lend my skills as an investigator and inquisitor to ensure that there is some evidence to support the accusations.
I know that we don't have evidence, and I know that that's a problem, but she is the newcomer. She does her own, she keeps to herself. She doesn't like anyone in the village, and yet she settled here. She disappears for hours during the day when she can't be found. We have no doubt that this ill-tempered monster is the culprit behind this. How she does it, I don't know the specifics, and we've searched her home many times and not found any blood or other direct evidence. But there is simply, if you go and speak with her, you will see she has a criminal's disposition. She is hiding her past. She is hiding her activities here in the town. She is clearly involved in this. Please, if you could just drive her out, I'm sure the disappearances would stop.
I am sorry that she is such a source of distress, because her ways may not be familiar to you, or in the ways that you are accustomed to people being in this area. However, the light of Asharos will shine upon the evidence that is needed should she be guilty. But the things that you have described are not in themselves crime. Perhaps other crimes, and perhaps she will serve justice in her own way for those, but they do not specifically indicate that she is the responsible party for those that have gone missing and are departed.
And at this point, Haverford stands up and says, now, I trust that these people, if they say that they're going to help us, will do their best. I don't think it's our place to tell them how to do it. I don't think it's our place to tell them that they need to drive Gruzza out now. Let them make their own investigation, and I'm sure they will fairly come to the same conclusion we all have, that Gruzza is the responsible party and needs to pay the price for it. For now, I would urge us to be calm and patient and wait for these people to do their work. And he sits back down.
You're absolutely right. Perhaps if we drive Gruzza out, all these homes will stop combusting and flame. I mean, such evil. Who would cause homes to combust and flame? Only a work of such evil Gruzza.
And at that point, Moonshadow says, "Well, that was us. I said we're burning the homes too because of evil, the spirits. Actually, I'm here to get breakfast. I really don't know what this meeting is, but yeah, carry on. I can wait."
So Lusharosi directs his attention back to the leader girl and says, surely you do not to run Gruzza out of your town. There must be something else going on here in addition to the suspicions that you have.
Yeah. And Helwyr says, it could be any one of these filthy elves.
There's a lot of chatter at that point as people are confused.
No.
And Siobhan speaks up and says, you surely don't think that elves are behind the disappearances of the town folk. I mean, as it's mostly been elves who've been the victims of it.
That doesn't mean elves can't hate other elves.
But why? I mean, children have disappeared and been murdered. Who would hate children? Multiple children. Why would anyone have targeted so many children, even if one child were disliked?
Perhaps there's an evil wizard in the vicinity.
Well, that's always a possibility. It has been discussed that Gruzza may be using magic to make the people disappear. We also have not found evidence of her practicing the dark arts, but I would not be surprised myself if she's simply hidden it. And then there's, coming from her hut, many people have heard an eerie arcane whistling in the depths of the night, and no one has been able to explain it. Strange plumes of light leap into the sky from where she lives. No one knows what causes them. But when we've forced her out of her home and searched it, we've never found anything.
So do you think by forcing her out of her homes and searching it, that she would want to open up more to the town? And that may, explain some of her withdrawn behavior from talking or interacting with you?
Gruzza has been withdrawn ever since she moved here. However, our first search of her home probably came a month after the disappearances first began. So I'm sure that's not the reason for her being so ill-tempered. She will claim, of course, that we are unfriendly to her, but that's nonsense.
No, certainly not when you're forcing others out.
So you would suggest we not have searched her home? How else would we have found evidence against her?
It is clear that, once again, as I mentioned before, that you are distressed by the murders that have taken place and the disappearances of the children and the townspeople. It is understandable that you would react in such a strong way and seeking some kind of closure and explanation. And so we definitely will confront Gruzza and see if we can't find evidence that may point us to the one that is responsible, whether it is Gruzza or some other party. I will withhold judgment until Asharos has provided his light to the way.
As you say that, the door opens and another human comes in, probably in his late 40s, early 50s, comes in and takes his hat off and stands at the back near where Moonshadow is standing.
Well, I'll take note of this newcomer.
Right. And Haverford stands up and says, well, as I said before, I don't even think talking to Gruzza's worth the time. She'll lie. That's all she does is lie. You're probably better off talking to Clumflavoons to see what was uncovered by Master Holbein. And then proceed as you wish. Another search of Gruzza's home might be more fruitful for you than for us. You might better know what you're looking for than what I would.
Has Gruzza talked to anybody else, or rather, anybody else? That's not the question I wanted to ask. Has anybody else talked to? Did anybody else talk to Master Holbein when he was here? Besides Gruzza and Clumflavoons.
Well, I mean, Master Holbein went around the town and talked to probably almost everyone at some point. Maybe not a very long conversation. Gruzza also has to interact with a number of people, at least if they're buying anything that she's made in her forge. The only friends she has are Pallas and Hector. So she talks to them sometimes.
Who is Pallas and Hector?
That's the family that was burying their daughters.
Oh, okay. Lusharosi. Did Pallas or Hector mention anything? Mention anything related to Gruzza?
Not that I can recall. They had not mentioned her by name. They seemed more distraught about the deaths of their children and ensuring that their burials would be properly done by the rites that they requested. I was not prepared to be questioning them further based on their grief.
Well, that's a fair
Although
assessment.
you would note that they didn't bring up Gruzza. They seemed clear that the werewolf was probably behind this or whatever it was.
Yeah. So I do look to the leader and states, there was talk of a werewolf, and I have seen evidence of albino fur left behind near where what's their names again? What's their names lost their children?
Palace and Hector.
Yeah.
Yes. Alice and Hector.
Make me a diploma or persuasion check. I just want to see something.
All right. Dun dun dun.
Ooh.
So you say that, and there's a lot of chattering now in this place as people now discuss this werewolf thing, as they've not heard the werewolf theory before. And then at some point, Haverford says, "Gruzza's a werewolf!" And he picks a pan up off the floor, a frying pan, slams it down on the table. "Surely, if she's a werewolf, we should kill her."
Now, everybody, please be quiet and remain calm. Just because we have found evidence that a werewolf may be responsible does not indicate that Gruzza is the werewolf. We must keep calm and maintain our composure as we find the true origins of this dilemma.
Siobhan,
Yes.
the human, steps forward again and says, "We are prepared to stay our hand for now. However, it's very frightening to hear that there may be a werewolf on the loose who could strike at any night to carry off yet more people. I mean, although the disappearances have been spaced out, and so maybe we're safe for a few nights, we probably only have a couple of nights. And if it's a werewolf, who knows when that fiend is going to strike again? The sense of urgency is much higher knowing this than it was before.
It's also scary knowing that houses are getting burned down. And people are being dragged out of their house and forced to be searched. This is terrifying as well. I don't know. I should be more terrified of that than werewolves.
Siobhan looks a little confused at that. Why would you be more frightened of a search than of werewolves?
Because at least werewolves, you can avoid. You can't avoid a search. They just show up.
So you just see a slight movement under Lusharosi's hood.
Yeah, also make me a persuasion check.
Would recognize as a cringe, and him clearly eyeing Tehol from under the hood.
And I guess Helwyr looks around the room. Oh, sorry. Yeah, do the persuasion.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So when you say that, I was figuring out if she thinks you're trolling her or aasimar. And so she gets that look that the woman from the tea shop got. Like, oh, poor old man.
So Helwyr looks around the room and sees like the obvious anger in most of the people's like faces, and he says, "If any of you make moves on Gruzza, I'll cut off your ears and wear them."
Make me an intimidation check.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Lusharosi's shoulders slump and he begins questioning the reason that he is with these people. But then remembers that Asharos does not put anything upon you that you cannot handle.
So now everyone is now on their feet. yelling about what? How dare you threaten to assault us just because we're trying to protect ourselves from Gruzza? What are you going to do about Gruzza? How about that? How about you tell us what you're going to do? Haverford is a little more laid back, although he also jumped to his feet when he heard that you were going to chop off ears.
So, once more, as is becoming increasingly the custom, Lusharosi positions himself between Helwyr and the growing angry crowd and says, "Please forgive the rude mannerisms of my compatriots. He comes from a land where this is considered polite talk. But please be assured, by Asharos, I vow that we will get to the bottom of this matter and we will help you resolve it before we leave."
Okay, make a persuasion check.
So while he's doing that, I'm gesturing like with scissors in my ear that I'm gonna cut it off.
I'm gonna have to say the scissors to the ear thing is disadvantage because he's trying to undermine you. So they are still on their feet and still yelling. And then Haverford says, I understand you guys are here to help, but maybe this one's not. If you're going to do something about this, I suggest you do it. I don't think Gruzza is going to have a lot of time before people decide they just have to act.
Yes. Yes, we'll go and we'll take care of it. Don't worry. And we'll take care of him too. Don't worry. He's pretty nice. He will at least have the courtesy to kill you before he cuts off the ears.
It is, you could tell they might have attacked, but these are not combatants. They don't know how to fight. Haverford and his pot are probably the most dangerous weapon in the room, other than what you guys are carrying. So if you weren't quite so big, they might have tried to at least assaulted you.
With pans.
So Lusharosi, he has a moment of wit and changes tactics and says to the crowd, "Listen, this one, the large one behind me, while he speaks of dangers, he will be with me. And if I determine that Gruzza, or what identify the true enemy that is attacking you, he will be the one to mete out swift justice. So just remember that."
And that cows them a bit. And so people start filing out. Some of them sit down, muttering amongst themselves. And Moonshadow at the back says, "Great, can I get breakfast now?"
And meanwhile, Lusharosi from beneath his hood eyes Helwyr and says, "We are going to have words soon."
Yeah, Helwyr just grunts and he's looking around at all the breakfast bowls, thinking of what he's gonna take.
I just got a picture. There's this guy that I went to high school with who would literally, he's like this really mean dude who was on the football team with me. And he'd just walk around the tables and he'd like look at people who were eating and he'd take their chicken sandwich from them, take a bite and put it back on their plate.
That's what I was imagining Helwyr going to do. Just stealing someone's bowl and sitting down somewhere.
And the man who came in while Lusharosi was talking towards the end comes up to Lusharosi with his hat in his hand and says, "Hi, I'm Alec, the brewer in town. I really need your help. If you can spare time. I don't think Gruzza had anything to do with the disappearances. I need someone to see what my wife is doing. She's a different person these days ever since the disappearances started. She was the only person to come back from the first patrol that completely vanished. And I mean, I don't even want to think it, but I think she has something to do with this because she's not the person I married anymore, and she disappears at night, and I don't know where she's going, and she claims she's not. She claims was home the whole night, but I see her go out, and I tried to follow her, but I couldn't figure out where she went. I need help. I really do.
Can I do an insight check?
Yep. He has like tears welling up in his eyes. He seems like he's very concerned about his wife.
So I place a gentle hand on his shoulder and say, "Come, friend, let us discuss this matter in here." Is there a table that is like kind of away from the others?
Yeah, most of them have filed out now. The only one here to get breakfast, it seems, is Moonshadow.
Okay.
So at this point, the rest of them are sort of leaving. Some of them shooting Helwyr dirty looks. Some of them too afraid of Helwyr to shoot him dirty looks.
So then at that, I gesture to my companions and say, Tehol, Helwyr, this man has things to discuss with us that may be related to the situation.
Splendid. Haverford, a tea, if you will, and then he just like plops down at the table that you guys grabbed.
Haverford, he was still sort of sitting in his chair, just looking at the floor, looks over and nods and gets up and walks into the back.
All right. So as we sit down, I say, "All right, sir." And I'm sorry, your name is?
Alec.
Alec. It sounds like you're very distressed over this situation with your wife. When did you notice that this first began, this change that you saw in her?
Well, I didn't really notice it at first. I mean, most of us are members of the town militia, and so we all take turns going on patrols. There are hobgoblins who wander the area, so it's good to have a force out there that just to let them know that the town is defended. And she was out on a patrol, mostly with elves here in the community, but she was there with them. The whole group disappeared. This is before there were any other disappearances here in town. And she was the only survivor. She stumbled back into town wounded. And I didn't notice it at first, but she was very withdrawn, which I thought was understandable because she had been with this group and they were all gone now. She claims she doesn't know what happened to them. She doesn't remember anything about where they went or what happened to her. But since she did that, she's been really weird. She's been latching on to every rumor about who's responsible for this, especially Gruzza, but passersby who are just going south to Watchtower or north to Brixton or anybody passing through the town. She's always blaming them for it and then blaming Gruzza for it and blaming Pallas and Hector for it. And she's always trying to lay the blame on someone else. And she goes on these long walks at night. She'll be gone for 3 or 4 hours and she's never tired. She's going out every night. She's hardly sleeping at all, but she never seems tired. And she's gotten mean. She was never mean. But she's mean now. Something's going on. On the nights when people disappear, she's gone the entire night sometimes. And then I find out the next morning that on those nights when I couldn't find her at all, somebody's gone.
So I'm assuming that definitely raises red flags based on the things that you told me earlier from my arcane check.
Sure.
Mean, you say? How does she mean?
Like I said, she's spreading rumors and she's not polite. She used to be really polite and she's just, she's not the woman I married.
Does she look any different?
No. I mean, it's Elise. Same as always.
Have you talked to her? Oh, go ahead.
How about her eyes?
Nope, I never noticed the difference in her eyes.
Now, I know that you said that she was through a strange experience where she was the survivor that came back and no one else did. Have you talked to her about these things that you've mentioned to us, that you've noticed these things going on, and how does she respond?
Like I said, whenever I say she's going out for long walks at night, she says that she's not, and she gets angry immediately if I bring it up anymore. But I've seen her go out. I've tried to follow her, but she walks along the road, going towards the windmill, and then once she gets to the windmill, I don't know where she goes.
And nobody was able to find the bodies of those that she was with that night that she returned, and the others did not.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, they were further north in the swamp than we generally like to go. It's very hard to find something in the swamp once it's lost. I mean, it was in there's a saltwater portion of the swamp where the salt from the ground bubbles up and mixes with the water, but then there's a freshwater portion. This was in the freshwater portion, but it's, every tree looks like every other tree. Once you get in there, it's very easy to get lost.
Now, I know from experience that people who survive things that their companions do not are affected by it. Is it possible that she might be finding ways of dealing with survivor's guilt or some other way of dealing with the trauma of her ordeal?
I sorely hope that's the case. I hope she returns to the woman I remember, but I would be so thrilled. I'm willing to pay you if you can help me with this, and I would be thrilled to learn that she is simply dealing with the grief or guilt of being the survivor of that party.
And where is your wife now?
She's at home tending the pots. Like I said, we brew here. Someone has to, when the fire's on, someone has to make sure that the pots aren't boiling over.
And where is it that you stay?
Oh, we live in the brewery, above the brewery.
How far away is that from where we are?
It's probably about 2 miles walk.
Is it in the direction of Gruzza?
Let's see. The brewery is here, and Gruzza is here.
Okay.
So that's kind of on the way. It's a little bit of a detour, but not much.
Right. And Clump Lagoons, by the way, is here.
Oh, sweet. 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. So I look to Tehol and Helwyr and hesitantly ask, what are your thoughts?
I thought you would never ask. I think we should arm up with Silver and go right to your wife.
Silver? You don't think my wife's a werewolf, do you?
Never can be too sure these days. Strange things happening. Houses burning down. Folk are disappearing.
Well, if
People are getting all angry.
If she's a werewolf, can you cure her?
I don't know. I don't think I can. But
could I make a check to know? Like if
Yeah. I'm not sure which one this would be. I'll go. You can do either religion or medicine.
No.
Whatever works for you.
Sorry, I think I froze. What'd you say?
Yes, you can. You can choose any skill you think is relevant and roll that. Arcana, religion, medicine.
All right, I'm gonna go with medicine. And I'm gonna use an action point.
Okay. It is possible to reverse lycanthropy. The first step is usually killing the werewolf that caused the person to become a werewolf and then casting greater restoration.
Okay. So given that with a sense of confidence, I look at Alec and I say, we will speak with your wife. We will see if we can't help her deal with the things that she's dealing with. Now, my companion believes she may be a werewolf. There's talk that a werewolf is hunting people in this area. I will reserve judgment, but there is a possibility that your wife can be saved. But we need to speak with her first.
Well, I'm happy to take you to her. I appreciate any help you can get me.
Yeah, Helwyr doesn't say anything.
And across the room, Moonshadow being an elf, you hear, I don't think she's a werewolf.
Oh, Moonshadow. And what do you have to offer in terms of perspective?
I don't think the spirits of our ancestors are going to send a full-blooded werewolf to attack us. That's silly. She's probably just mean because she's human and getting older, and she was through a whole trauma and had to stumble back to this place with arrows stuck in her gut.
Arrows in her gut.
Yeah, she was wounded in that fight. When people disappeared, she stumbled back wounded.
With arrows protruding?
She had arrow wounds.
Well, that's different than arrows protruding.
Right. Well, they could have been bullet wounds, I suppose. I don't really know what bullet wounds look like. I mean, if you're going to go plunging into the swamp, you're going to need a guide. I am familiar with the swamps myself. I have braved the dolls. I am the only person to have braved the dolls. So I am happy to take you into the swamp as your guide. Although I have to finish up my breakfast first. And Haverford comes out with your tea. He does not come out with like a whole flight. He comes out with a single cup.
Is it a big cup?
It's a normal sized teacup.
So
Thank you. Thank you, chap. And
before Haverford leaves, I ask him if there is any breakfast that might be served.
Sure. Well, what do you want? Porridge is sort of the easiest thing to make, but if you wanted eggs, I could make those too.
Gruel.
Porridge would probably be better than gruel, I think.
I don't like
If you really want gruel, I suppose I could make it. It'd take a while, though.
Eggs would be lovely for me, Haverford.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Alec declines, saying he has to get back to the brewery. And there's a little exchange about delivery of ale later on in the day.
All right. So I toss Haverford a gold coin.
He takes it, thanks you for it.
All right, guys. So after breakfast, where are we headed?
let's talk to his wife.
Yeah, the brewer.
You want to go to the brewery first?
Yeah.
Yeah. She sounds like a pleasant person.
So I don't know if it's Kurt or what, but I'm hearing an echo, and I'm seeing that on the sound things in the corner that whenever somebody's talking, it's on Kurt's thing that it's also going.
Let me see.
I'm seeing that as well.
Yeah.
Not sure if you have like your internal mech going on as well.
Doesn't seem as though I do. But
Yeah, you can hear the click click and then the cut.
That's actually putting dice away. It's not that loud, so I'm surprised it's loud.
so I'm not sure what setting it is to fix that. It's not showing up for me.
Are you using headphones?
Nope. But it usually blocks out. Like I only have one set of speakers working, so it's not. It usually blocks that out. Maybe I should switch to headphones. Well, let me get headphones.
Okay.
Okay.
Wonder what this swamp's all about. Those dolls in there.
I'm interested to see what's going on there.
I'm sure they've left them in there before they drown. It's usually the case with lost dolls.
Hey, Dustin,
Yeah.
what'd you say about the dolls?
I said they were probably left in there by some kids before they drowned. That's usually how dolls get lost.
So on our way to the brewery, I address Helwyr, and I'm like, all right, honestly, are you trying to be provocative and get people to want to hurt you?
They can't hurt me. I can hurt them, though.
Right. But is it your goal to make people want to try?
They will not try. They are scared.
I think you underestimate what fear can do to people.
Yes. Little elves, which are privy to swamps. I am not scared of them.
Perhaps you should be.
We will see.
Just, can you do me a favor? When you decide that you need to talk about taking ears, can you just not?
That's a big favor to ask of him. You know of his passion for elf ears. Have you seen that necklace?
Regrettably.
I didn't want to. Don't tell anyone about the necklace. No, I. Hang on. Give me a sec.
What does Lusharosi know about Helwyr's like goals? Like what does he? What would Lusharosi know about what you're trying to accomplish being a part of this group?
He sort of came along because he wanted to know more about the world, I guess, outside of his hermit-like forest, and he knew that his his presence would be helpful, I guess, in figuring out what's going on. But really, he's just here for the ride. Like, he's just learning stuff, and yeah, and he probably plans on just going back to his forest hermit house when he's done here.
All right. So Lusharosi looks Helwyr right in the eye and says, "Look, I know you are from a different place, but it is important not only to survive, but also to understand the ways of people that are different from you, to lead with something other than your collection of elf ears or your desire to kill things. Might I suggest instead challenging people to feats of strength or contests that don't end in one's demise? That might be a bit more productive, and considering your stature, you might actually find some modicum of fame or celebration."
I do not care for fame, but I do know that my feats of strength really just end up to us having to wait for conversation, as we saw last night when I headbutted that silly old man.
Right, okay, so let's stick with that. That was good, except that man was not prepared. Perhaps next time in the future, you might find it better to ask if they would like to engage in a headbutting contest. And then that way, you can invite them to start. And by doing that, you give yourself an opportunity to mock their weakness before you return the favor.
I rather than be surprised. And you, Tehol, are you still wearing just your underwear? We're in public.
I ran upstairs really quick and got changed.
Yeah, before we left the inn, I would have gotten back into my armor and gotten my armaments.
I have to drop for work now. Things are going, and I'm getting texts and all that. So
seriously, I thought you had until 10:30.
Till 10.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I said 10.
Okay, so I plugged my microphone in, and I can't hear you guys now. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he can't hear us. Oh, you can see us moving our mouths.
Okay, so it's just a matter of me getting sound back. Hold on.
He's got the problem I had last time.
It's really clear though. Like, he's got a good microphone.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to drop.
It's all good, man.
Sorry, guys.
All right, man.
There's a bunch of security changes that are being rolled out. So like the past couple weeks have been like, and they went strict on like when you could deploy stuff. So the past couple weeks have just been like 10 p.m. deploy after 10 p.m. deploy. I had to deploy last night after class. I basically went to work, straight to class, came home and worked. Oh, it's been a little rough.
That's garbage, man.
This should be the last one. This is the big one. So then after this, I'll be done for a little while, hopefully, or at least done for things that I have to be a part of, and I could delegate them to other people. All right, guys.
Good.
I'm in. Well, thanks for playing. Anyway.
Take it easy.
Yeah, and whatever, if you guys continue, which don't stop because of me. Whatever you think Tehol would do, I'm sure that's what he would do.
Hey, question for you, Dustin.
Yeah.
What are you doing tomorrow?
I'm going to see Slayer.
Oh, nice. All right, never mind then.
Sweet.
Yeah, sorry. It's their last world tour.
Damn.
They're getting old.
Oh, true that. Who are they like? Who's opening for them? They got someone cool.
Oh well, there's 4 bands. It's Slayer, Anthrax.
Wow.
Let's see. It's Slayer. It's kind of like a few bands that are playing.
Yeah.
Slayer, Anthrax, Testament, Lamb of God, and Behemoth.
Oh my god. Crazy one.
Yeah, so I'm ducking out of work a little early to I mean, it's not really gonna be moshing, but maybe. I mean, it's kind of like an amphitheater, so there's like the lawn section and yeah, but all right, guys, I'll see thee.
Take care, man. Have fun tomorrow.
Yeah.
Switch to Kurt.
So where's Tony? Was Tony meant to join our party as well?
Yeah, but he had some life stuff that came up that he's got to deal with, and I suppose that probably it also has to do with his recent unemployment.
Oh yeah, that's right, because he's doing that startup stuff.
Yeah, he's doing that, but I think that he's also looking for like a full-time job, like to kind of tide him over.
Right.
Well.
Okay, well, it sucks that we lost Dustin. I am not sure at all how to get the sound to go back on. I suspect if I reboot, it will work fine. But I don't want to reboot because then it will stop recording. And I will have broken the session into 2 videos. Since we've lost Dustin, though, I guess let's pause here and we'll come back to it next week. That's what makes the most sense to me.
All right.
Unless you guys really, really, really want to continue, then I will reboot and try this again.
Well, one thing that I'm wondering, first of all, can you hear us?
You will have to type out your responses as I can't hear you. Just realized I don't have to type back. I can just talk. I can do. I can. Actually, I'm pretty open next week or this weekend. So yeah, I could schedule something. I just need like a day or two's prior notice to figure out.
So I've got.
What about you, Brendan?
Yeah, I have to try and convert it into Australian time. So I'll try
Still
and get
have to type it out, or I can't.
Yeah. I'm thinking. Oh shit! Wrong fucking keyboard. Oh, actually, no. I'll just do it on here.
So you need to translate into Australian time?
Yeah.
Basically?
Yeah.
What time is it for you now?
It is Friday at 1 p.m. One,
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, so for you guys, I can do like, so this exact same time on a, on a, your your Tuesday, because what day is it for you now? It's
For us, it's Thursday.
Thursday night. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're
Monday.
talking like Wednesday morning, afternoon, that would be our Tuesday evening.
Yeah, so I can do your, so if I do Tuesday, no, it's Monday. No, so I can do your Wednesday. Yeah, I can do your Tuesday evening, which is my Wednesday morning, your Wednesday evening, which is my Thursday morning, and Thursday evening, which is which is my Friday morning. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, yeah. So I can do all.
Thursday. Friday for us would be Saturday for you.
Yeah, I can do that too. Yeah. Just not a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, just not a Monday morning for me, which means Tuesday night for you. Sunday night. Sunday night. Okay, hang on. I'll write this
So
down.
you can do just do it in Australian time. You can do Wednesday morning, afternoon. You can do
Yep.
You can do Thursday morning, afternoon.
Yep.
And you can do Saturday morning, afternoon.
Yep.
Can you do Friday morning, afternoon?
Friday morning. Yes, I can do that too. Yeah, because that's right now for me. Is it? No. Yeah, today's Friday for me. Yeah, so I can definitely do today.
What days?
Yeah, any
can
of
you
those
not
nights
do?
would work for me next week.
What are there days where you wouldn't be able to meet?
Monday afternoon and Tuesday if we don't go too long.
So what's your limit on Tuesday?
So if we started like as if we did tonight, I would be on for 2 hours max.
So you would be ending around this time.
Oh, an hour after now.
Oh, that would be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, yeah, that day then too.
And I'm sorry, what day was that? Tuesday, you said?
Yeah, that's my Tuesday, which is your Monday night.
Yeah, Monday evening.
Yeah.
So for us, that's Tuesday. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Basically,
Yeah.
not Saturday or Sunday for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I can do weekends as. Hang on, let me think. I can probably.
So why don't we see when Dustin's free? Since it seems most of next week is open.
Yeah.
I hate this. I'm sure there's some stupid setting that I'm just missing that would re-enable the audio.
Oh, now I think about it. Monday for me next week and Tuesday next week for me is definitely a no-go because I got that speech and it's a group assignment. So
That would be Sunday, which we don't have on here anyways, but Monday would not be good for you.
yeah, Monday definitely not good. Oh yeah, and we have that as well. Oh no, hang on. Oh god, it's this conversion time, man. Boggles my brain.
Well, you said that it's 1 o'clock for you right now?
Yeah.
So we usually start an hour and a half earlier, so that's 11:30 your time, 11:30 a.m.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're during the week for us, which for you is because you're a day ahead.
Yeah.
So that would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Nobody's going to be available before 11:30 your time.
Right. Okay.
Because of work.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I think I've got it fixed.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Okay,
Sweet.
cool. So we're mostly just talking about Brendan's conversion times.
It's so confusing, man.
So we usually don't go past like 3 p.m. your time then.
Yeah, no, I don't think we ever have.
So usually around 2:30 your time.
Yeah.
So your window for us during the week would be 11:30 to 2:30.
Yeah, but on a Monday morning, like, so on a Monday at 2, definitely at 2, I have a lecture, and then another lecture, and then a tutorial. So Monday is normally my worst day. Like, that's my most unavailable day. Every other day, I've got like night class, so it's like 4:30 start and a 6:30 start on Tuesday, then Wednesday. So I'm good for every other day other than Monday. But then I've got a speech going on next week, which is a group assignment. So I need to figure out a time with them when we're going to talk and shit. But
hopefully not simultaneously.
Yeah, hopefully not at the same time. Talking shit.
But I'll check with Dustin and just let him know Monday is your worst day.
Yeah, which is your Sunday night, isn't it? Yeah.
You know what might be helpful? Have you guys heard of Doodle?
Doodle. Yeah, I've heard of my Doodle.
I have not heard of Doodle.
Doodle is a scheduling program / app. So, like, you put a bunch of dates when one person is available, and then you invite other people to basically say of those times and when you're available, and then it gives you kind of a spreadsheet of when the most people would be available. So that might be a helpful way of doing it, because then that's easier for Brendan to kind of convert times and everybody else to kind of understand their availability. And then that makes it really easy for like Kurt or for me when I start running to be able to compile that data.
Yeah.
To see when the most people are going to be around to play.
Yeah, because it's a bit hard with schedule, like with work schedules for Dustin and for like the sporadic, I guess, stuff, which mental blank.
So I'm gonna put a link for Doodle into the description.
Which Tony has to do, yeah, because Tony's schedule will be all over the place right now.
I was really afraid that after all that, you were going to be like, no, I'm still getting an echo.
No echo. It sounds perfect now.
So you almost made it out of the inn.
I'm wondering at this point how far we can stretch it without getting into a combat.
I'm craving it. I just want to cut some ears off.
Yeah, that's all Helwyr wants to do.
I just want to bust out my axes and bows and swords and chop shit up, but I get what we're trying to do, and it makes more sense than what I want to do.
Kurt,
Yeah,
did you hear?
it's always good for me just to remind you. Obviously, Lusharosi has his whole thing because he's like good and a paladin. But for the other two, you're really here to find the missing dwarf. Like all this elf disappearance thing might be just like, why do we care?
Yeah. You guys have every right to be like, fuck you, Lusharosi. That's not what we're here to do. But also, Kurt, did you hear Lusharosi's side conversation with Helwyr where they're trying do all that stuff?
I didn't hear most of it, I don't think.
Okay. Basically, Lusharosi's like, look, I know you're from a place where it's like acceptable to cut off ears and like demonstrate them on a necklace, but when you're around people in this place, could you just like not?
What did Helwyr say to that?
He wasn't impressed. He didn't care.
And then Lusharosi tried to appeal to the brute in him, being like, look, you know, rather than threatening to kill people and cut off their ears, maybe just like challenge them to feats of strength. And then Helwyr was like, oh yeah, like when I headbutted the innkeeper. And I'm like, yes, that's good, but maybe next time let them know and maybe give them first shot so that you could laugh at them when they fail.
And yeah, Helwyr wasn't. He rather surprised people.
It would be a step up if you started surprising people with headbutts rather than maiming them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Small victories, right?
Although once you've headbutted them and are unconscious, what better trophy than an ear?
Yeah, I guess my quest at the moment is to collect ears because that guy wants to trade with me, right?
Jesus Christ. Just like, have you ever seen Universal Soldier?
I have.
I haven't.
Where Dolph Lundgren just has all the ears.
All right, I will reach out to and see when Dustin will be available. I will look at Doodle. I'll probably ask Dustin just by email because it's quicker, and then I will look at Doodle and see about setting something up to see if other times work better for Anno and Tony.
Okay. Yeah, I did finally get in touch with Anno, and he did say that work has been really busy for him lately, but in a good way, where he's like actually enjoying what he's doing. But it's been like 9-10 hour days for him, so he just hasn't had an opportunity to really respond to anything. But he's not necessarily opposed to playing, is the sense that I'm getting. It's more just that the timing hasn't really been right lately.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe the Doodle thing will work out for him too. I mean, I can't. Saturday nights I tend to be tied up, but otherwise I'm pretty flexible. So any night other than Saturday night, I could probably do something.
Yeah, and also I don't know if it helps. Probably not for Brendan because he's not in the States. But Brendan, we have like a 3-day weekend this week for our Memorial Day.
Shit.
So.
But like, I don't know what Anno's really doing. Tony, I know he's working on his new startup business.
Yeah.
So I don't think he actually gets holidays or weekends.
Right. It's kind of hard to start a business while you take holiday.
Right. Like, you know, there's nobody there to tell him he has to take the day off.
Right.
True that.
So, but I'll set it up and circulate around the link to Doodle. I not having looked at Doodle, I don't even know if that's the right terminology. They may have their own special thing.
Yeah.
Doodling.
Right, like maybe you send somebody a doodle or a dude.
Or maybe it's a diddle.
Right.
Maybe doodle is for diddles.
Like Twitter has tweets, Doodle has deets.
Deets.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, take care, man.
Bye-bye.